I hope you're all fine. Yes, Alhamdulillah, I am fine. So, we are halfway through this month of Ramadan, and I hope you are getting your share of the blessings from this month because after a long time, I think you have got this chance to avail full opportunity to perform prayers and recite Quran Majid at your homes peacefully and comfortably, and having good aftars and suhoors, of course, made by your moms. Okay. Now I decided to go through the topic that I was discussing last time. I will do a brief recap of the topic of metastasis, which we were discussing last time. If you have any questions, kindly ask questions. Okay. Because if you don't ask any questions, I don't get any clue whether you are listening or not, or you are understanding or not, and I seriously don't have any clue what's going on. So I think the most horrific part about a malignant tumor is that it can metastasize, and many times it happens so that the tumor is diagnosed after metastasis has happened, unfortunately. But still, metastasis is not that common, luckily. Cancer cells can move locally, okay, and by moving, I literally mean that the cells move to the nearby tissue, and they also spread to distant parts of the body, which we term as metastasis. When the cancer cells spread locally, we call it invasion. When distant, we call it metastatic cancer. And for many types of cancer, it is also called stage 4 cancer. When metastasis has happened, we label it straightforwardly as stage 4 cancer. Okay, how invasion and metastasis takes place. Actually, it is the result of complex interactions between cancer cells and normal stroma, because cancer cells are growing within the normal stroma, within the normal environment. So they have to interact with that stroma. Okay, although millions of cells are released into the circulation each day from a primary tumor, only a few metastases are produced because metastasis is not that efficient that we think it is. So, metastatic cascade. Metastatic cascade is the cascade or the process through which metastasis takes place, and it is divided into two parts based on the process. First part involves the invasion of extracellular matrix, which is the stroma around the cell, around the tumor. And the second part involves vascular dissemination from the moment of insertion to the site of destination and colonization. So we start with the first part, which is the invasion of extracellular matrix. So what is extracellular matrix composed of? Extracellular matrix basically is composed of two major components. One is the basement membrane and other is the interstitial and adhesion. And these are mostly made up of collagens, glycoproteins, and proteoglycans. So the invasion part is further broken up into three major events. Okay, the blue cells in this figure are the malignant cells, and one or two of these cells are going to loosen up from their surrounding cells, which are also tumor cells. So these cells actually are इंटरनेट का Okay, welcome back. We were talking about loosening up of tumor cell interactions. So these tumor cells in normally, not normally, but in malignancy, of course, they are bridged together by these molecules, which are adhesion molecules called EK adherins. These EK adherin molecules have two basic functions. One is that they bridge two tumor cells together, as is seen in this figure, and their other function is that they relay information from one cell to another. Okay. So it's like that wall between two homes from where women can discuss politics about the um, about the town or the village, which we see in dramas mostly. Mhm. So these EK adherents serve as the same function. They perform the function of relay center between these two cells, and they also bridge uh, these two cells together. So, when these EK adherents, the loss of these EK adherents is lost, the cells will loosen up from one another, of course. In several epithelial tumors, including adenocarcinomas of the colon, stomach, and breast, EK adherent function is lost. Okay, now these examples are very important actually. Adenocarcinoma of colon, stomach, and breast. They are present throughout your chapter and they are important everywhere because from these examples which are mentioned in the text part of the topic, uh, they are picked up for making MCQs and SEQs mostly. So you have to remember that equivalent function is lost mostly in adenocarcinoma of the colon, stomach, and breast. So one of the cell has loosened up from the surrounding cells and is now free. Next step will be degradation of the basement membrane and interstitial connective tissue, which is the function of the proteolytic enzymes. Now, proteolytic enzymes, you have already studied about them in your biochemistry in first year, second year. One of the most important and interesting example is matrix metalloproteinases. These are secreted by epithelial cells, which were the malignant cells, malignant epithelial cells, or by the stromal cells. Those malignant epithelial cells, uh, they induce the stromal cells, the normal stromal cells, to start secreting these proteolytic enzymes. Examples are MMPs, cathepsin D, and urokinase plasminogen activator. And what is their function? Their function is to remodel insoluble components of the basement membrane and interstitial matrix. So, normally basement membrane and interstitial matrix is insoluble, but these matrix metalloproteinases, they make them soluble. And they also induce release of certain growth factors. ये वाली बात आप लोगों ने याद रख लेनी है that they induce release of certain growth factors because इस ये वाली जो बात है इसकी डिटेल नेक्स्ट वाले पॉइंट में आएगी. For example, matrix metalloproteinase 9 is a gelatinase that cleaves type 4 collagen of the epithelial and vascular basement membrane and also stimulates release of vascular endothelial growth factor from extracellular matrix sequestered pools. ECM जो है extracellular matrix उसके अंदर जो growth factors हैं इनके pools पड़े हुए होते हैं, छुपे हुए होते हैं. So these matrix metalloproteinases and other proteolytic enzymes, they stimulate release of these growth factors from ECM sequestered pools. Here you can see that this epithelial cell has started secreting proteolytic enzyme and that proteolytic enzyme is cleaving basement membrane and extracellular matrix. Now the third step, which involves changes in attachment of tumor cells to extracellular membrane, extracellular matrix protein. What is the normal pattern of attachment of epithelial cells to basement membrane? Normally what happens, suppose this is the basement membrane and these are the epithelial cells. They have certain type of adhesion molecules known as integrins. These are the integrins, which are polarized towards their basal surface opposing basement membrane. This is the basal surface of the epithelial cells and opposing the basement membrane. Okay, this is the place or situation where integrins are present in normal cells where malignancy has not taken place. Okay, so these integrins which are present on the basal surface of these epithelial cells opposing the basement membrane, these integrins, what is the role of these integrins? They keep the integrity of these epithelial cells. How? That they, these integrins, they uh, they keep these cells in their position, and when they are present in their position, they are present in a differentiated state. What happens if the integrins are lost or the loss of adhesion in normal cells? Integrins are lost, this cell will be loosed up from the basement membrane, and next step will be triggering of the process of apoptosis. If a cell is not present where it is supposed to be, the our safety mechanisms of our body sorry, uh, trigger the process of apoptosis in that cell. Okay, so integrins are present in the normal epithelium polarized towards the basal surface, opposing the basement membrane, and they keep epithelial cells in their positions and differentiate it. If there is loss of adhesion in normal cells, it triggers the process of apoptosis, leading to destruction of those cells. But you know that when malignancy happens, the process of apoptosis is cancer cells are able to evade this process because of mutations in P53 gene, okay, that we have already discussed about it. So what will happen then? This cell will be loosed up from the basement membrane. It will not anymore be adherent to the basement membrane, and also there will be no apoptosis. So this will be a free cell, and no one will be able to cause any harm to this cell, this malignant cell. Now next step is locomotion, which propels tumor cells through the degraded basement membrane and zones of matrix proteolysis. So locomotion is a multi-step process that involves many families of receptors and signaling proteins that eventually impinge on the actin cytoskeleton. And how it takes place, there are two ends of the cell, a loosed up cell. One of the end is known as the leading end, which moves in the forward direction, and the other is the trailing end, which follows the leading end. And inside the cell, actin cytoskeleton is the one that contracts itself to propel the cell forward. And there are obviously certain cytokines which act on this cell to activate all this system. Those cytokines are known as autocrine motility factors. One of the autocrine motility factors, which is known as hepatocyte growth factor or scatter factor, binds to the receptor tyrosine kinase MET on tumor cells, and the concentration of this factor is elevated in the advancing edge of the highly invasive brain tumor glioblastoma, supporting its role in motility. The glioblastoma is one of a very highly invasive brain tumor, and scientists have found that hepatocyte growth factor or scatter factor is present in high concentration in this tumor, which explains how it is highly invasive. क्योंकि ये जो growth factor है, it will cause these cells to move forward and invade the surrounding tissues. Okay. So this is the autocrine motility factor, and what because it is autocrine, it's going to be released from the same cell and act on the same cell. Is synthesized and released from this cell, and it is acting on the same cell. This is the leading end of the cell, and this is the trailing end of the cell. And inside the cell, actin cytoskeleton is the one which is propelling the cell forward. So once the cells have invaded the basement membrane, we reach to the next part of the cascade, which is vascular dissemination. If we are talking about only invasion, which is a feature in almost all the malignancies, invasion, local invasion is almost a feature of the hallmark of malignancy, and it is almost there, present in all of the cells, all of the malignancies. So in case of invasion, this part, the vascular dissemination, will not take place. But if we are talking about metastasis, then vascular dissemination will take place, obviously. Once inside the circulation, we are now where the cell first loosened up from the neighboring cells because of loss of weak adherent function. Then what happened? The cells started to release proteolytic enzymes which degraded the basement membrane and the extracellular matrix. The next part was alteration in the uh, binding of the cell with the basement membrane through loss of the integrins, the adhesion molecules which were present at the basal surfaces of the epithelial cells. And followed by that, there was locomotion. The cell actually started to move away from the actual tumor. Now the cell has gotten inside the circulation after crossing the endothelium also of the blood vessel. Cancer cells are vulnerable to destruction by a variety of mechanisms. अब जब circulation में आते हैं, they obviously start to encounter our immune cells, which tend to destroy the cancer cells. That is why, even though many cancer cells reach the circulation, but only a few of them are able to metastasize. This is what makes the metastasis an inefficient process. So there can be mechanical shear stress that can damage those cancer cells that have gotten into the circulation, because in circulation, there are many cells which are traveling, uh, big or small cells. These cancer cells can get damaged by those cells by sheer mechanics of those cells or the endothelium. They can get get trapped in the spleen and get destroyed. So mechanical shear stress can destroy these cancer cells. Then apoptosis can be stimulated by loss of adhesion. As we discussed, loss of adhesion कैसे होती थी? Because of loss of integrin molecules. And apoptosis, which is stimulated by loss of adhesion, is known as anoikis. This is a very important MCQ question, and you have to remember this term, anoikis. Okay. Next is an innate and adaptive immune defenses, which can also destroy these cancer cells which have reached the circulation. Okay, if they survive all those adversities, what happens then? The tumor cells tend to aggregate in clumps. They come out of the primary tumor one by one, but once they get inside the circulation, they tend to aggregate in clumps. फौरन से वो इकट्ठे होना शुरू हो जाएंगे क्योंकि दे नो इत्तेफाक में बरकत होती है. ठीक है, उनकी सारी जो ट्यूमर है, मेलिग्नेंसी है, उसकी पूरी की पूरी बुनियाद इत्तेफाक के ऊपर बनी हुई है. जितने ज़्यादा ट्यूमर सेल्स होते हैं उतने वो ज़्यादा डिस्ट्रक्टिव होते जाते हैं. फिर सर्कुलेशन में भी दे ओनली सर्वाइव इफ दे आर प्रेजेंट इन क्लम्प्स. अगर वो एक एक पड़े होंगे तो वो फौरन डिस्ट्रॉय हो जाएंगे. Formation of platelet tumor aggregate, they not only form aggregates with themselves, but they also involve platelets and lymphocytes in those aggregates. And they can also bind and activate coagulation factors. When they bind coagulation factors with them, they result in the formation of emboli. Arrest and extravasation of tumor emboli at distant sites involves adhesion to the endothelium followed by egress through the basement membrane. जिस तरह स्टार्ट में वो निकला है वहां से अपने प्राइमरी साइट से, इसी तरह उसने जहाँ पे उसकी डेस्टिनेशन है उधर जाके भी इट्स गोइंग टू फर्स्ट अटैच टू दैट endothelium, the blood vessel at that site, and then it will egress through the basement membrane. Again, involved in these processes are adhesion molecules, integrins and laminin receptors. अब वो फिर से एक्टिवेट हो जाएंगे जहाँ पे उनकी जरूरत है. And proteolytic enzymes. Proteolytic enzymes क्या करेंगे? Basement membrane को और extracellular matrix को at the site of metastasis, वो उसको destroy करेंगे to make space for the malignant cells. Of particular interest is the CD44 adhesion molecule, which is expressed on normal T lymphocytes and is used by these cells to migrate to selective sites in lymphoid tissues. So CD44 is an adhesion molecule which is normally present on T lymphocytes, and it helps T lymphocytes to migrate to selective sites in lymphoid tissues. ये आप लोगों ने अब तक पढ़ लिया होगा कि T lymphocytes जो हैं वो क्या करते हैं अपना function complete करने के बाद, because they are also antigen presenting cells, so from the site where they have performed their function, they have to move to the lymphoid tissue along with that antigen. So they use CD44 in that function. So many malignant cells also use the same adhesion molecule CD44 to get to the site of their destination. The site at which circulating tumor cells leave the capillaries to form secondary deposits is related to the anatomic location and vascular drainage of the primary tumor and the tropism of particular tumors for specific tissues. अब ये चीज कैसे डिसाइड होती है कि कौन से ट्यूमर ने कहाँ पे जाके मेटास्टेसाइज होना है? तो एक्चुअली इसका आंसर ये है कि दिस इज ऑल बाय लक मोस्टली, क्योंकि कई बहुत सारी ऐसी चीजें scientists are trying to explain many things, but they are not able to explain all the things. They have told us that anatomic location is related to the site of secondary deposit, but it is not true in all cases. Similarly, vascular drainage of the primary tumor is important, but it is not the case in many tumors. And tropism, this is a new term which we will discuss in detail. Tropism also plays an important role in deciding where the primary tumor will metastasize or make the secondary deposit. These are the most common examples. For example, prostatic carcinoma preferentially spreads to bone, और bone भी ये ज़्यादातर backbone में spread करता है. Mostly prostatic carcinoma is diagnosed after people have backache, severe backache. They go to the orthopedic or doctor most commonly, and when their detailed history and examination is done and all the required scanning is done, it comes out that they have actually prostatic carcinoma, which has formed secondary deposits in the backbone. Bronchogenic carcinomas tend to involve the adrenals and the brain. A bronchogenic carcinoma तो किसी भी जगह को इन्वॉल्व कर सकता है, बिकॉज इसमें से जो ब्रोंक्यूल्स हैं, जो हमारा पल्मोनरी सिस्टम है, उसमें से सारी की सारी ब्लड सप्लाई जो है इट गोज टू ऑल ऑफ द बॉडी, तो it can send secondary deposits anywhere, and the most common sites are adrenals and the brain. Because brain में भी इसलिए totally understandable है क्योंकि जो blood supply है वो direct जा रही है almost, बहुत कम उसके अंदर branches नहीं आती हैं, इसलिए brain के अंदर it is totally understandable that it sends more metastatic deposits to brain. And neuroblastomas spread to the liver and bones. Now, neuroblastomas also can spread to many places, but their preference to go to liver and bones, it is not understood properly. Sorry. So the most common, the most obvious answer is tropism. What is this tropism? Tropism means that many cancer cells have a propensity to go towards certain organs. They have adhesion molecules whose ligands are expressed preferentially on the endothelial cells of the target organ. और ये इनके ऊपर कहाँ से आते हैं इस तरह के adhesion molecules? ये अल्लाह मियाँ नहीं बनाए हुए हैं, इसका और कोई आंसर नहीं है फिलहाल. Number 2, chemokines also have an important role in determining the target tissues for metastasis. For instance, some breast cancer cells express the chemokine receptors CXCR4 and CCR7. ये chemokines के नाम जो हैं, these are important. CXCR4 and CCR7 are present on breast cancer cells, and and they have a role in determining the target tissues for metastasis. Now, there is another case where the target tissue may be a non-permissive environment or unfavorable soil for the growth of tumor seedlings. Okay. So आप लोग बहुत कम ये बात सुनेंगे कि किसी के skeletal muscle के अंदर metastatic deposit मिल गया या spleen में मिल गया, because these are not favorable places for the tumor metastasis to take place, because skeletal muscle is also very well vascularized and spleen is also very well vascularized. Splenomegaly is a major sign of many malignancies, but it is not a very common site for metastasis. और skeletal muscles में तो कभी भी नहीं, किसी ट्यूमर में भी skeletal muscles में मैंने नहीं सुना कभी, ना ही कभी पढ़ा है कि वहां पे metastasis हुआ हो. So despite their cleverness in escaping their tissue of origin, circulating tumor cells are quite inefficient in colonizing distant organs. ये पूरा मेटास्टेटिक कैस्केड दिया हुआ है इन वन डायग्राम. मोस्टली एग्जाम्स के अंदर मेटास्टेटिक कैस्केड का पूरा क्वेश्चन ही आता है 5 मार्क्स का, तो ज्यादातर बच्चे जो हैं वो ये कैस्केड ड्रॉ कर देते हैं इस तरह से. तो इट्स गुड टू ड्रॉ, लेकिन अगर आप इसके अंदर थोड़ी थोड़ी और डिटेल ऐड कर लें खुद से, तो it will be a more better answer, and it will then give you 4.5 on 5 marks. ठीक है, लेकिन आप लोगों को इसके सारे के सारे स्टेप्स जो हैं वो मेंशन करने होंगे अपने आंसर में. ठीक है, so this was a transformed cell which got converted into a tumor, and this is the primary tumor. A subclone of the primary tumor formed, destined to metastasize, which invaded the basement membrane and the interstitial connective tissues, got into the circulation after passing through the extracellular matrix. Here it formed aggregates with lymphocytes and with platelets to form tumor cell embolus, circulated in the bloodstream until it arrived at the area of its or the place of its destination for secondary deposit. At this place, it again adhered to the basement membrane, and adhesion molecules played the major role in this adhesion. These tumor cells extravasated by the process of proteolysis, and here a metastatic deposit started to form. It also developed angiogenesis, and its growth started to take place. Okay, there is a word written in your book which is the like dormancy, and they say that in some cases metastatic deposits are so small in size that they remain in that place for years, even without the person having to know that he is developing a metastatic deposit. So during that phase, it is known as dormant metastasis. And when it becomes obvious, then it is known as overt metastasis. Same goes for other clinical diseases. A disease is dormant until and unless it comes into notice of the person and or the clinician or the doctor, and then it is known as overt disease. Okay, so overt metastasis and dormant metastasis. So what is the molecular mechanism of colonization? Tumor cells secrete cytokines, growth factors, and extracellular matrix molecules that act on the resident stromal cells, which in turn make the metastatic site habitable for the cancer cell. For example, breast cancer metastases to bone are osteolytic. Why? Because they activate osteoclasts in the metastatic site. Breast cancer cells secrete parathyroid hormone-related protein, which stimulates osteoblasts to make rank ligand. Rank ligand then activates osteoclasts, which degrade the bone matrix and release growth factors embedded within it, like insulin growth factor and transforming growth factor, tissue growth factor beta. Okay. So this is the molecular mechanism of colonization, which mostly involves cytokines, growth factors, and extracellular matrix molecules. Why do only some tumors metastasize? What are the genetic and epigenetic changes that allow metastasis? Why is the metastatic process so inefficient? Several competing theories have been proposed to explain how the metastatic phenotype arises, and they are still theories. No one knows for sure what goes on in the human body to allow the process of metastasis. So the first theory is clonal evolution model. And what is clonal evolution model? As mutations accumulate in genetically unstable cancer cells and the tumor become heterogeneous, a rare subset of tumor cell subclones acquire a pattern of gene expression that is permissive for all steps involved in metastasis. It states that out of all the tumor cells or the malignant cells, only a few cells acquire a pattern of gene expression that is permissive for all steps involved in metastasis. Here you can see only pink cells have formed a subclone or a clone for metastasis. Now this clone will invade and metastasize, and the other cells, the blue ones, they will not. So this is the clonal evolution model, that out of all the cells, a clone has to evolve to metastasize. And that clone, how it evolves? It evolves when a rare subset of tumor cells acquire a pattern of gene expression that is permissive for all steps involved in metastasis. Next theory is metastatic signature. A subset of breast cancers has a metastatic gene expression signature similar to that found in metastasis. Although no clinical evidence for metastasis is apparent, it is hypothesized that in these tumors with a metastasis signature, most if not all cells develop a predilection for metastatic spread during early stages of carcinogenesis. Now इसका मतलब क्या है? इसको समझ लें. Metastatic signature means that all or most of the cells of the primary tumor, they develop this metastatic signature, or they acquire those mutations requiring for metastasis, all or most of the cells of the primary tumor. लेकिन इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि ये शुरू में ही metastasis करते हैं. They have evidence that many primary cancers have this metastatic signature, but they do not metastasize at all, or they metastasize very late in their course of disease. Okay, so they have the predilection for metastatic spread during early stage of carcinogenesis, but there is no clinical evidence that they will have metastasis in the early stages. लेकिन इन सब cells के अंदर that metastatic signature is present. They can metastasize, all of them. ये इनको पता कैसे चला साइंटिस्ट को ये कह क्यों रहे हैं ये बात? इसके पीछे पूरा साइंटिफिक एविडेंस होता है. वो चेक कर रहे होते हैं ईच एंड एवरी सेल को, उसके अंदर सारी की सारी वो जीन्स चेक कर रहे होते हैं. दे हैव फाउंड दैट सर्टेन सेल्स, इसीलिए ये इन्होंने यहाँ पर लिखा है सबसेट ऑफ ब्रेस्ट कैंसर्स. ठीक है, कि उन वाले ब्रेस्ट कैंसर्स में उन्होंने जितने भी सेल्स देखे होंगे उन सब के अंदर ये वाली जीन म्यूटेशन प्रेजेंट है, जिसकी वजह से मेटास्टेसिस होता है. ठीक है, और जिन्होंने ये वाली थ्योरी पेश किया क्लोनल एवोल्यूशन मॉडल, उन्होंने जो ट्यूमर्स चेक किए हैं उसके अंदर सारे सेल्स के अंदर ये वाली म्यूटेशंस प्रेजेंट नहीं थी, उनके अंदर थोड़े से सेल्स के अंदर थी. इसीलिए उन्होंने ये वाला थ्योरी पेश की कि देयर इज अ क्लोन ऑफ सेल है, सब क्लोन हैज टू फॉर्म इन ऑर्डर टू मेटास्टेसाइज. लेकिन जिन्होंने ये वाली चीज चेक की, जिनको ये एविडेंस मिला, उन्होंने मेटास्टेटिक सिग्नेचर वाला थ्योरी पेश कर दी कि almost all or most of the cells develop a predilection to metastatic spread. Now third model is combination model. अब दोनों मॉडल्स पढ़ के कुछ साइंटिस्ट ने जब इसके ऊपर मजीद वर्क किया, they found out that the two ideas, the first two theories have to be combined in order to give a proper model. So this third idea that combines the above two supposes that the metastatic signature is necessary but not sufficient for metastasis, and that additional mutations are still needed for metastasis to occur. और जब वो additional mutations होंगी, they will be on a subclone. मेटास्टेटिक सिग्नेचर ठीक है, पूरे के पूरे क्लोन के ऊपर है, पूरे पूरे कैंसर के ऊपर है, लेकिन still further additional mutations will take place in order for a primary tumor to form metastatic deposits. ठीक है, अब ये इससे मेटास्टेसिस होगा. So this is the combination model. Now what is the stromal elements? Role of stromal elements. Of course, आप लोगों ने शुरू से अब तक stromal elements का इतना ज़्यादा पढ़ा है सारा role. There is evidence the capacity for metastasis involves not only properties intrinsic to the cancer cells but also the characteristics of their microenvironment, such as the components of the stroma, the presence of infiltrating immune cells. अगर immune cells होंगे वो उसको वहीं पे destroy कर देंगे. Angiogenesis, अगर angiogenesis नहीं होगा तो वो सर्वाइव ही नहीं करेगा, उसको न्यूट्रिशन ही नहीं मिलेगी उन सेल्स को. तो स्ट्रोमल रिस्पॉन्स इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, और इस स्ट्रोमल रिस्पॉन्स को एनहांस करने के लिए भी देयर आर स्टिल मोर म्यूटेशंस दैट टेक प्लेस इन द ट्यूमर सेल्स. So stromal response is very important for the emergence of metastatic variants and eventually metastasis. So there are two genes which जो आप लोगों को पता होनी चाहिए in terms of metastasis. One are the metastatic suppressor genes, which are the same as the tumor suppressor genes. These genes have to be inhibited in order to metastasis take place. And second are the metastatic oncogenes, snail and twist. ये दो metastatic oncogenes हैं, और जो बाकी सारी oncogenes का रोल है वही इनका है. They allow the proliferation. They encode transcription factors whose primary function is to promote epithelial to mesenchymal transition. What is this term? Epithelial to mesenchymal transition. Obviously इसके मतलब से पता चल रहा है आपको कि वो epithelial characteristics सारे उसके खत्म हो जाएंगे और mesenchymal characteristics उसके अंदर appear हो जाएंगे. In epithelial to mesenchymal transition, carcinoma cells down-regulate certain epithelial markers, for example, E-cadherin, and upregulate certain mesenchymal markers, for example, vimentin and smooth muscle actin. These changes are believed to favor the development of pro-migratory phenotype that is essential for metastasis. Loss of E-cadherin expression seems to be a key event in EMT, and snail and twist are transcriptional repressors that down-regulate E-cadherin expression. EMT has been documented mainly in breast cancers. Whether it is a general phenomenon in other solid tumors remains to be established. Okay, now you can ask questions. Why not, ma'am? What are you asking about? Okay, should I move on to the next topic if you don't have any questions? Why doesn't it metastasize into skeletal muscles and spleen? Stromal. Okay, skeletal muscles or spleen का ये है कि they are highly vascularized. Skeletal muscles are highly vascularized. Maybe tumors don't stay over there, and they are not favorable soil for metastasis. और spleen का भी यही है, it is a highly vascularized organ. इसके अंदर blood आ रहा है और जा रहा है, तो उसके अंदर भी और spleen के अंदर आपको पता है कि मैक्रोफेजेस और वो वाला सारा सिस्टम कितना स्ट्रांग होता है. spleen का मेजर फंक्शन ही यही है कि वो सारे ब्लड को फिल्टर कर रही होती है. तो मे बी ट्यूमर के जो मेटास्टेटिक डिपॉजिट्स हैं, दे डू गो देयर बट दे गेट डिस्ट्रॉयड. स्ट्रोमल रिस्पॉन्स वाली थ्योरी, स्ट्रोमल रिस्पॉन्स वाली थ्योरी, स्ट्रोमल रिस्पॉन्स वाली थ्योरी कुछ भी नहीं है इतनी कोई खास. इसमें सिर्फ यही है कि द माइक्रो एनवायरनमेंट where metastatic deposit is going to take place, it should be favorable enough to allow metastasis. उसके अंदर angiogenesis होना चाहिए start, और उसके अंदर जो है infiltrating immune cells जो हैं वो present नहीं होने चाहिए, क्योंकि immune cells आ जाएंगे तो वो उसको destroy करते हैं. Molecular mechanism of colonization. ओके, मॉलिक्यूलर मैकेनिक कॉलोनाइजेशन का मतलब क्या है? कॉलोनाइजेशन मींस कि जब वो जो मेटास्टेटिक सेल्स हैं जो एक वो एग्रीगेट है, इट हैज रीच्ड एट द साइट ऑफ मेटास्टेसिस और सेकेंडरी डिपॉजिट, वहां जाकर उन्होंने अपनी कॉलोनी बनानी है, वहां पे ऑब्वियसली वो जाएंगे और फिर वहां जाके वो फिर से मल्टीप्लिकेशन उनकी स्टार्ट हो जाएगी, प्रोलिफरेशन. तो उन सब चीजों के लिए दे नीड they secrete certain cytokines, growth factors and extracellular matrix molecules. और वो रेजिडेंट सेल्स के ऊपर वो एक्ट करते हैं और उस जगह को सारी को फेवरेबल बना देते हैं फॉर देयर हैबिटेट. Obviously they have to grow over there, they should make it favorable for their residents. उन्होंने एग्जांपल दिया ब्रेस्ट कैंसर मेटास्टेसिस टू बोन विच इज ऑस्टियोलिटिक. ऑस्टियोलिटिक वो कैसे होता है? वो क्या करता है कि ये सिक्रीट करेंगे पैराथायरॉइड रिलेटेड हार्मोन विच इज ए ग्रोथ हार्मोन. इट स्टिमुलेट्स ऑस्टियोब्लास्ट टू मेक रैंक लाइगेंड. ऑस्टियोब्लास्ट के अंदर रैंक लाइगेंड जब सिक्रीट होगा, इट एक्टिवेट्स osteoclasts which degrade the bone matrix and release growth factors. bone matrix को जब वो रिलीज डिग्रेड करेगा तब उसमें से ये वाले ग्रोथ फैक्टर्स निकलेंगे, इंसुलिन ग्रोथ फैक्टर और टिश्यू ग्रोथ फैक्टर बीटा. इनका फायदा ट्यूमर सेल्स को क्या होगा? दीज आर एक्चुअली ऑन्कोजीन्स, ये ऑन्कोप्रोटीन्स होती हैं, ये ट्यूमर सेल की प्रोलिफरेशन में हेल्प करती हैं. उसने वो सारे बोन मैट्रिक्स को तोड़ा ही इसलिए ताकि वो इसमें से ये वाले ग्रोथ फैक्टर्स को निकाल सके. ओके, so to make that place favorable for its growth, that metastatic deposit. Similarly, it needs growth factors for angiogenesis. और किस चीज के लिए उसको चाहिए होंगे ग्रोथ फैक्टर्स? मोस्टली यही होते हैं. उसको प्रोलिफरेशन एक तो चाहिए, उसके लिए उसने ग्रोथ फैक्टर्स सारे निकाल लिए हैं, उनको प्रोटीन, और उसको फिर एंजियोजेनेसिस चाहिए और उसके लिए उसने वहाँ पे फेवरेबल एटमॉस्फेयर क्रिएट करना है. ठीक है, एनी अदर क्वेश्चंस? ओके, our next topic is genomic instability. ये एक छोटा टॉपिक है इसलिए मैं इसको यहाँ पे डाला है ताकि क्योंकि इतनी सी देर में कंप्लीट हो जाएगा. जीनोमिक इंस्टेबिलिटी क्या है? व्हाट इज अवर जीनोम? जीनोम इज एक्चुअली अवर ऑल अवर डीएनए, और उसमें कुछ जेनेटिक मटेरियल भी होता है और नॉन जेनेटिक मटेरियल भी होता है. ठीक है, तो जीनोमिक इंस्टेबिलिटी मीन्स, as you all know, that our DNA is always multiplying and growing. तो उस सारे प्रोसेस में देर आर चांसेस दैट इट गेट्स सर्टेन डैमेजेस. देर आर चांसेस क्या? इट हैपन्स डेली. जब हम बाहर सन उसमें निकलते हैं सनलाइट में, तो इवन दिस सनलाइट damages our DNA daily, on a daily basis. It is happening every second of our life, that in certain cells DNA is getting damaged. But there are repair machineries in our cells as well, which are busy in repairing that damaged DNA all the time. So when those repair mechanisms are affected, yeah, those repair mechanisms जो है वो obviously they are certain proteins which are doing all the function, और उन proteins के पीछे भी genes ही हैं. अगर उन genes के अंदर कोई mutations आ जाएं जिसकी वजह से those proteins become mal proteins or they can't do their function properly, तो ये सारा जो डीएनए रिपेयर मैकेनिज्म्स हैं ये ठीक तरह से फंक्शन नहीं कर रहे थे. एंड दिस इज द प्रोसेस व्हिच इज नोन एज जीनोमिक इंस्टेबिलिटी. इट इज नॉट डायरेक्टली रिलेटेड टू कैंसर, but genomic instability makes a person more prone to certain cancers. So persons with inherited mutations of genes involved in DNA repair systems are at greatly increased risk for the development of cancer. अब ये डीएनए रिपेयर मैकेनिज्म्स हैं कौन कौन से? which are important. First है DNA mismatch repair pathway. डीएनए मिसमैच रिपेयर पाथवे में क्या होता है, इसके नाम से पता चल रहा है कि मिसमैच हो रहा है इसमें. You all know that adenine has to always bind with thiamine and guanine always binds with cytosine. ठीक है, तो अगर फॉर एग्जांपल जी जो है वो टी के साथ बाइंड हो जाता है तो दिस इज अ मिसमैच. और जब ये मिसमैच हुआ है तो उसी वक्त मिसमैच रिपेयर फैक्टर्स जो हैं दे कम इनटू एक्शन एंड दे करेक्ट द डिफेक्ट. और अगर मिसमैच रिपेयर पाथवे जो है उसमें कोई एबनॉर्मेलिटी आ जाती है तो जो डिजीज होती है एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ दिस एबनॉर्मेलिटी व्हिच इज दिस इज नोन एज हेरिडिटरी नॉन पॉलीपोसिस कोलन कैंसर सिंड्रोम. नाउ दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर यू टू रिमेंबर. अब मैंने डीएनए मिसमैच रिपेयर की डिटेल आपको इसलिए बताई है ताकि आप लोग ये याद रख सकें कि ये हेरिडिटरी नॉन पॉलीपोसिस कोलन कैंसर सिंड्रोम कराता है. दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट इंफॉर्मेशन फॉर यू, ये एग्जाम में आती है. ये देखें, ये एक सिंपल सी डायग्राम है. जी इज बाउंड टू टी विच इज अ मिसमैच. तो क्या होगा, वो उसको एक्सरसाइज करेगी टी को जो ये वाला पाथवे है और उसको करेक्ट उसकी रिपेयर करा देगी, उसको जो सही वाला उसका पेयर है उसके साथ उसको करा देगी पेयर अप. दिस इज डीएनए मिसमैच रिपेयर पाथवे. Next is nucleotide excision repair pathway. UV radiation causes cross-linking of pyrimidine residues, preventing normal DNA replication. अब आप लोगों को पता है कि एक उसके ऊपर प्यूरीन होती है और दूसरे के ऊपर pyrimidine होती है. प्यूरीन हैज टू बाइंड विद द pyrimidine. लेकिन क्या हो रहा होता है कुछ कंडीशंस में यूवी रेज से ये होता है और ये मतलब नॉर्मली हो रहा होता है हम सबके अंदर कि टू pyrimidines क्रॉस लिंक विद ईच अदर. ओके, तो ये एक गलत क्रॉस लिंकिंग बन जाती है क्योंकि इसने अपने ऑपोजिट वाले प्यूरीन के साथ मिलना है लेकिन वो pyrimidine आपस में एक दूसरे के साथ जब बना लेते हैं पेयर तो this abnormality is repaired by nucleotide excision repair system. इस तरह से ये होता है और ये पूरे का पूरा वो जो ये वाला पार्ट है इसको एक्सरसाइज कर देता है न्यूक्लियोटाइड एक्सcision रिपेयर पाथवे. और फिर क्या होता है, एक नई वहां पे स्ट्रैंड बनती है, डीएनए पॉलीमरेज बनाता है, उसको रीसिंथेसिस होता है उस स्ट्रैंड का और फिर लाइगेशन जो है लाइगेज एंजाइम जब उनको यहाँ पे ये देखेंगे ब्लू कलर का जो है ये रिपेयर्ड पूरी स्ट्रैंड है वो इसको लाइगेज के थ्रू ये जुड़ जाता है इससे. ठीक है, सो दिस इज न्यूक्लियोटाइड एक्सcision रिपेयर पाथवे. और न्यूक्लियोटाइड एक्सcision रिपेयर पाथवे में अगर डिफेक्ट होता है तो जो डिजीज होती है एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ this disease is known as xeroderma pigmentosum. Xeroderma pigmentosum क्या है? It is a disease where the individual is at increased risk for the development of cancers of the skin, particularly following exposure to the UV light contained in sun rays. अब ये पूरी की पूरी लाइन बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है क्योंकि जब ये क्वेश्चन आएगा आप लोगों को एग्जाम में तो उसमें जीरोडर्मा पिगमेंटोजम भी वर्ड नहीं लिखा होगा. उसके अंदर लिखा होगा, उसके अंदर सिनेरियो दिया होगा अबाउट ए पर्सन who develops who has developed cancer और उसके अंदर दिया होगा कि वो सनलाइट के एक्सपोजर के बाद उसके स्किन के ऊपर सर्टेन लीजन्स अपीयर. तो और उसके अंदर पूछा होगा कि व्हाट इज द बेसिक अंडरलाइंग एबनॉर्मेलिटी. तो आप उसके अंदर डीएनए अगर फॉर एग्जांपल उसके अंदर न्यूक्लियोटाइड एक्सcision रिपेयर पाथवे की एबनॉर्मेलिटी भी हो सकती है, जीनोमिक इंस्टेबिलिटी भी इसका आंसर हो सकता है डिपेंडिंग अपॉन के ऑप्शंस के अंदर क्या दिया है या रिपेयर पाथवेज की एबनॉर्मेलिटी भी इसका आंसर हो सकता है. ठीक है, तो ये है न्यूक्लियोटाइड एक्सcision रिपेयर पाथवे. जो हमने पहले पढ़ा था वो था डीएनए मिसमैच रिपेयर पाथवे. नाउ थर्ड इज होमोलोगस रिकॉम्बिनेशन पाथवे. इसके अंदर जो जीन म्यूटेटेड है दैट इज नोन एज एटेक्सिया टेलेंजिएक्टेसिया एटीएम. ये जो होमोलोगस रिकॉम्बिनेशन है इसकी दो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट डिजीजेस के नाम है एटेक्सिया टेलेंजिएक्टेसिया और दूसरा है ब्लूम सिंड्रोम. और ये होता क्या है कि इसमें डीएनए डैमेज कॉज्ड बाय आयोनाइजिंग रेडिएशन. और persons with Bloom syndrome have a predisposition to a very broad spectrum of tumors. The defective gene encodes a helicase that participates in DNA repair by homologous recombination. Homologous recombination में होता क्या है कि डबल स्ट्रैंडेड ब्रेक्स हैं, ये देखें आप डबल स्ट्रैंडेड ब्रेक्स हैं और इन दोनों को एक नया यहाँ पे स्ट्रैंड बना के उसको रिपेयर कैसे करता है ये वाला पाथवे कि वो उसके साथ क्रॉस लिंकिंग इस तरह से कर देता है। ये आप लोग यहाँ से इसको देखें फिर नेक्स्ट, ये सारी क्रॉस लिंकिंग हो रही है और ये नॉर्मल वाला जो सही वाला है वो डीएनए लाइगेशन के थ्रू यहाँ पे आके अटैच होते हैं। ये जो डबल स्ट्रैंडेड ब्रेक्स हैं इनको दो तरह के पाथवेज रिपेयर करते हैं, या तो नॉन होमोलगस एंड ज्वाइनिंग पाथवे है जो आप लोगों ने पहले एक दफा पढ़ा है, और दूसरा है होमोलगस रिकॉम्बिनेशन पाथवे। ये दोनों में से किसी से भी हो सकता है। ठीक है, ये डबल स्ट्रैंडेड ब्रेक्स हैं और ये जो है इस वाली स्ट्रैंड या तो इसको ये वाला पाथवे ज्वाइन कर रहा है और या फिर ये वाला, और अगर ये दोनों फेल हो जाते हैं इन डूइंग देयर फंक्शन तो क्या होता है कि एपोप्टोसिस हो जाता है उन सेल्स के अंदर normally. But in case of malignancies, obviously apoptosis has already been deleted from the person's body. Next is Fanconi anemia pathway. This is another very interesting pathway which is composed of 15 to 16 different proteins, very small proteins, which repair different crosslinks, DNA crosslinks, which are formed as a result of radiations or sunlight or any chemical injury. बहुत सारे इसके रीजंस होते हैं इनके बनने के, इंटरस्ट्रैंड क्रॉस लिंक, और इनको फैंकनीमिया पाथवे जो है वो एक्टिवेट हो जाता है और इसको ये इन सबको रिपेयर कराता है। और फैंकनीमिया पाथवे जो है उसकी एक इम्पॉर्टेंट जीन है बरका टू, जो आप लोगों ने बहुत दफ़ा पढ़ी है। बरका टू जो है इट इज़ ऑल्सो इम्प्लिकेटेड इन द पैथोजेनेसिस ऑफ फेमिलियल ब्रेस्ट कैंसर। फेमिलियल ब्रेस्ट कैंसर से आप लोगों को बता दूं कि ब्रेस्ट कैंसर जो है वो दो तरह का है, एक एक्वायर्ड है और दूसरा फैमिली है। तो जिनकी फैमिली में रन कर रहा होता है वहाँ पे बरका टू जीन जो है वो चेक कर लेते हैं। इसकी एक एग्जांपल एंजेलिना जोली है जिसके अंदर बरका टू जीन पॉजिटिव आई थी, तो उसने शी गॉट both her breast removed along with her uterus and ovaries because BRCA2 mutation also predisposes a person to having uterine or ovarian carcinoma. तो BRCA2 आप लोगों को कभी नहीं भूलनी चाहिए, मैंने आपको इसके साथ रिलेटेड बहुत अच्छी एग्जाम्पल बता दी है। और BRCA1 जो है दैट इज आल्सो ए पार्ट ऑफ फैंकनीमिया पाथवे, और इसमें क्या है एपिथेलियल ओवेरियन कैंसर्स और मेन के अंदर प्रोस्टेटिक कैंसर जो है उसकी भी प्रीडिस्पोजिशन ज़्यादा हो जाती है इफ दे हैव दिस म्यूटेशन। और BRCA2 जो है रिस्क ऑफ ब्रेस्ट कैंसर बोथ इन मेन एंड वुमेन एज वेल एज कैंसर ऑफ ओवरी, प्रोस्टेट, पैंक्रियास, बाइल डक्ट, stomach, melanocytes and B lymphocytes. Okay, now if you have any questions, kindly, we have only 1 minute, I think. No questions? Okay, take care of yourselves. Next, see you soon, inshallah.